Good morning. My name is Reverend Pjae Stanley, and this is Harmony Spiritual Center, home to the spiritually inquisitive seeker. That's who we are. That's what we do. And so we teach these principles. We learn how to live our lives, how it works. We practice and we put things into action, and we choose. We choose to grow, and we choose to serve. And just so you know, meditation is when you're listening to God. Prayer is when you're speaking to God. And when you have our time, our silent time, they wave back and forth. Sometimes you're praying, and then you start asking a question, and then you start listening to the answer. And that's why it's difficult sometimes to say, am I praying or am I meditating? You're doing both. You're doing both, and it's all good. It's all good. So we know that for sure, what we know for sure, like Oprah likes to say, we know for sure that God is everything that we need. Source, substance, supply. So we don't have to look outside of ourselves or to other people or anything like it for what we want to call into our lives. We need each other. We want each other, but it isn't necessary for us to have what we want. No one controls that but you. No one. You and God together. And so that's what we know for sure. We know that we are individualized expressions of that love, of the one love. We have that ability within us to do and to create and to have what it is that we call out and what we say we want. So that's what we do here today. So last week's talk was about having a sense of urgency, just a sense of urgency. Because even in your song, you said, I get busy. And we know we do. Life is lifing. That's what my friend said. Life is lifing. It's going on whether you're paying attention or not. And so we don't want to get so busy with the busy work that we don't actually live the life that we're looking to live, the life that we, on purpose, visiting with friends, doing the things that we want, that make a difference, the difference we want to make in our lives, the life we want to live, the dreams we want to have, the vision that we see for our lives of service and greatness and all the things that we see. And so we don't want to get really busy with that. With all of that, what we want to do is have a sense of urgency about the things that matter, and only you can decide. I'm not here to tell you what that is. You know what matters. And we don't want to fill our lives up with things that don't. So whatever that is, that's what we want to do. And that's what last week's talk was. And I talked about Brian Tracy in his book, Maximum Achievement, when he says, I do it now. Whatever it is that you're thinking about doing, do it now. Do it now. Do it now. That's that sense of urgency. And so today, I want to talk about calendaring, easy for you to say, calendaring your life. And it's just so much easier. I meant to bring up my phone, but I forgot to bring it up. But that's okay, you all have one. You can hold your own phone up. It is so easy now to calendar your life, to make notes to yourself. I mean, you don't have to even write it out. You can actually just turn on the microphone and just start talking and telling yourself what you want to do, what's important to you. When I go to the store, I want to make sure that I get what I went to get. So I'm not walking out with all kinds of stuff and not what I actually went to get. So there's just so many things that you can do. But calendaring your life is so great because it gets away with us, life gets away from us, as I said earlier, and who we say we are and what we say we are, it matters. And so calendaring those things, what is important to be calendared, that's up to you to say. But that's what you get to do. And so at this age, I'm going to need some reminders. Going to need a few reminders. And did you know that the alarm on your phone, that you can actually change the name, it doesn't have to just say alarm? Because the alarm go off, and I'll look at it and I go, what's this alarm about? Right? So you can actually, when you set the alarm, you can say, okay, this is start the car, this is leave. I have to tell myself to leave. I've started the car, it'll be running in the garage for an hour because I forgot to put the alarm. It says leave. So we get to do all these kinds of reminders of how we want to be. And I have notes all over and things on the walls and in my calendar and on my phone because I want to be sure to be who I say I am, to show up the way I say I'm going to show up, when I say I'm going to show up. It's important to me to be a woman of my word. That is one of my values. Not in my top 5, but it's up there. Because so many other things are in that top 5, but it's like maybe 6. And just to be a woman of my word for me, not for you, for me so that I can believe myself. So that when I say I'm going to do something, I set a goal for myself, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to write this book, I believe myself. If I start saying things and I don't show up for myself, then I don't even believe myself when I say something. You said that before, girlfriend, you never show up for that. So I don't even trust myself. That is the reason why I want to be a woman of my word. But the calendaring issue, do you know, it's already Easter next Sunday. It's Easter next Sunday. What happened? How did this happen? It was just January, and I was writing my list of goals out, which I don't even know what that list is, by the way. It's on my phone. It's on my phone. It's somewhere on the list of notes that I scroll through. It's there. It definitely is there. But I wanted to talk about, and this is something I think at this age that we concern ourselves with. And so I have this friend. Several of us in the room have the same friend. And she's concerned about her memory. She's concerned about her memory. So I call her every week. We just have a phone call, just checking on to see how she's doing, how her family's doing. And she takes a lot of trips and things like that. So we just call and talk. And every time we talk, she tells me about she's forgetting more things. She's concerned about that. And I told her, I said, well, here's the thing. Because we'll be talking, she'll try to tell me something. Remember so-and-so, and she had pulled the name up, and then we'll be talking another 5 minutes or so, and then the name pops back. Oh, I was talking about Rosemary, or whatever it was. And so I said, so here's the thing. Here's what you know. Memory hasn't been lost. It's just your random access memory, your RAM, is full. All right, so it's in there. And when it pops up, honey. When it pops up, speak it. That's fine. It doesn't have to come up when you want it right then and there. That's okay. There's a whole lot of ways to explain stuff. There's a whole lot of things you can say. You don't have to worry about a particular word showing up or a particular memory being there right then and there. It's okay. My point to her being this is that we don't have to concern ourselves with things that don't matter. What matters is what we say matters. So if you say that being able to come up with a word right then and there matters, it means that you have memory loss, then that's your focus. That is your focus. And what if you just use another word? How many of you are familiar? What's the dictionary that you get to use that shows you all the different words that you can use for thesaurus? See, that word was gone. Thesaurus. I don't care. You guys know what the word is. Right? Who cares? It's a thesaurus. Right. So I have one right on my calendar. And so if I don't have a word, okay, what's the word? What am I looking for? There it is. Here's another word. Use that word. That word works. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so I was trying to talk with her about this. This is something that I know, and I finally got some ways to explain it. What we know is that what we focus on grows, correct? We know that's the law of focus. What you focus on grows. So if you say that you have memory loss, if you say that you're not feeling, whatever you say is what is going to keep coming into your life. Now here's the great news that I just heard this week, and I knew it already, but just put it in words, that there is absolutely no problem or issue that you can have that the universe doesn't have a path through for you. Not a problem, not an issue, that the universe doesn't have a path through. Now, the way to reach that path through, or the way to find that, is to start saying things like this. If you believe, well, I'm going to use my friend again, that you have memory loss. Maybe that's something you're thinking. But what if you were to say, if I believed there was a possibility for me not to have memory loss, what would be the first thing I would do? Jump and shout. Yeah, that too. Very good, exactly. But when you ask that question, if I could believe that there is no such thing as memory loss for me, what would be the first thing that I would do? You now open yourself up to the universe for possibilities. Do you understand? Possibilities for ideas, actions, people, things to come to you. As long as you are saying, I have memory loss, the universe agrees. Or whatever it is you're saying. I'm just using that as an example because of the story I'm telling. But whatever it is you're saying, as long as you're saying, I can't do this, it's not possible. Here's one of the most things we say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I'm too old, I'm too young. We used to say that when we were young. That was some years ago, but yeah. You used to say that. Everybody is going through life with these same things you're talking about. And yes, they can still do whatever they want to do. Okay? So being too old, too young, too whatever it is you're thinking, this is what you're focused on. If you were to let go and say, if I didn't believe that, if I said, okay, the age doesn't matter. The age doesn't matter. If I believe that age doesn't matter, what's the first thing that I would do?
Go on Jeopardy.
So then, to get on Jeopardy, the first thing you have to do is what? Call them up, right? You just start making a way, and the universe will start making a way as soon as you open up the possibilities and you allow the universe to help you. So I've been trying to share with my friend, and making her you can't make anybody do anything, but sharing with her how I deal with where your memory's at. And that's the reason why I said you can calendar it. I have stickers all over my wall in my office, everywhere. Okay? And they're like, oh, I've done that already. Put that away, great. And it's so wonderful to look, I can cross all these off. Good, done. My point being that we calendar our lives for the things that are important. We don't have to, Einstein didn't even know his phone number. He didn't know his phone number.
Wasn't it like 1?
Say again?
It was probably 1 or 2.
4 numbers, something like that. He didn't bother with it. He didn't, but you know what? But what he said was that I don't bother with holding in my mind things that I can look up, things that are written down somewhere. I don't need to hold it in my mind. Do you get that? So if you calendar something, you don't have to hold it in your mind. Your mind is, the random access only has X amount of space. So if you're holding dates, trying to remember, when is her birthday? When is my anniversary? When am I supposed to go here? When am I supposed to go? Why? Why hold all that? When you can put it in the calendar and set an alarm, set a day for it to remind you again to pop back up, and there you go. And now they have this thing on your calendar that when something pops up, if you're not ready for it, you can just say, remind me in an hour. Remind me tomorrow. Okay? So much help. So it's important, in my mind, that we calendar our lives so that we make sure we are there for our lives, for the things that matter. Yesterday was my grandson's birthday, the one that lives in, Kobe, the actor that lives in Argyle. And thank the Lord it popped up. Because we have a party that we're going to do. We plan for him and for his cousin, my granddaughter. When she gets here, she's in Idaho now, and she's coming here. So we're going to do a nice big party for the two of them in April when I get back from Thailand. So that's what my head was, the party in April. But then it popped up. His birthday was yesterday. Oh, shoot. So I texted him, sang a little birthday song to him. He's like, oh, Grandma, I'm so glad you called. Me too. Me too. Thank you, Google. So our life is what we say it is. Our life is what we say it is. And we don't have to worry about things like this. This doesn't matter. There's too much help for us to worry about things that we don't need to worry about it. And when you start worrying about it, it's taking up space. It's taking up RAM. You don't need it. Let it go. Let go of the things you don't need to keep. Write it down. It's okay. It's no shame in writing it down. My friend seems to think there's a problem with writing it down, it's caused. I'm sorry. I've been writing things down since I was a kid. I've always writing things down. If you want to remember things, it's too much going on. So that's what's going on with her. So life moves fast. And what we talk about here is living on purpose. Because whether you do or you don't, life is going to keep lifing. And you're either going to live on purpose by design or by default. By design or by default. And let me tell you, there are a lot of people that will be willing to tell you how you should live your life. Lots of people willing to tell you how to live your life. But it's your life. It's your life. I was thinking about my kids. And one of the things that we do as parents is our job, here's what I think our job is to make sure, and particularly for my son, boys are, I'm not, saying anything negative about you guys, this is how it goes. Boys are knuckleheads. Just in terms of they're fearless. They're just fearless. My boy, I'm not kidding. When he was young, he would go, we lived in an apartment, it was a condo that had up and downstairs, or his bedroom was upstairs, and then he would haul his sister to do the same thing. She was older, by the way, 4 years. And he would jump out that window, not just out onto the street or out onto the grass or nothing, no, jump out and into a trash can, a big old dumpster. I'm sorry, do you even know what's in the dumpster, homeboy? Glass, beer bottle, what is wrong with you? So I came home one night, he's got this huge knot upside his head because he missed the dumpster. So my job, I felt, was to just make sure my boy stayed alive. That's really all I was trying to do, was keep them alive. So that's what we get to do. But when they get older, it's not my job anymore. Do you understand? Not to keep them alive. Now, and here's where it gets harder. Because we have been responsible for them up until they become adults. And after that, we actually have to, even before that, we have to release it and let them be the adult they want to be. And until they then ask us a question, Mom, what do you think about this, that, other thing? It's not your business anymore. So turning that over is very difficult for us. And so I'm talking about how life moves, how stages happen, and how we have to be thinking about what we want to be and what kind of relationship we want to have, whatever it may be, in everything that we're doing. That is the reason why we're constantly thinking about what do I want my life to look like now, and why the calendaring is so important to do, because it moves fast. We want to live on purpose. We want to do what matters. And so as I'm calendaring my life, I just discovered another thing that I'm going to be doing. I've been doing, didn't realize I was doing it this way. All of you already know about this. And it's called mastermind groups, right? And I've not cared for that because I've always felt like mastermind groups were like corporate business groups, like you're trying to get something built or a business or whatever. So I've never really gotten involved in mastermind groups. And when I've tried to get involved, it's always been some people, presidents of companies or whatever. They've always got these ideas and things, and they're not really listening to you. And then, it's not something, okay, I don't want it. But now I've discovered something. It's the same thing, but it's called Partners in Believing. Partners in Believing. And I've talked with you about my friends that you all know, Kim and Melinda. We're all ministers. They are my partners in believing. Now, I've never called them that, and we've never even done a mastermind. But we get together like once a quarter. So we're going to get together this week, and I'm going to suggest that we start calling ourselves Partners in Believing. And the reason why you do that is because of this. Let me just share this story with you. So there's a story of a friend of mine and this is her. When she was young, so it was some time ago, but when she was young, 17, she found herself pregnant and unmarried, okay, at 17. And back then, if you were pregnant and a woman, well, of course, that's dumb. That's so dumb. Because if you were pregnant and not a woman, you'd probably be rich by now. But anyway, back then, so she was ostracized. She was ostracized, and she was made to go to a different school for the wounded bad girls. I don't know what they call this thing. But anyway, so she just wasn't feeling really good about herself. And then her parents were disappointed and all that kind of thing. And then she discovered that she was ill. She was very ill. She had liver problems. And so she was at the hospital, and she was in the hospital, and the doctors were saying that all they could do was possibly extend her life until the baby was born. She was that ill. She didn't even know it, but she was that ill, and that all they could do, they couldn't heal her, but perhaps they could extend her life long enough for the baby to be born. And that was all the hope that they were offering her. And in the hospital that she was in, there was a chaplain that would go by, and she was a nun. And so she came in and she talked with her and said, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And she goes, well, I'm hoping that I can live long enough that my baby can be born. And she said, well, what if you could live beyond that? What if you could live beyond that? What if you believed that God could help you? And that you can, because she was at that time a New Thought person. She was a New Thought person, the nun was. Even though she was a nun, she believed differently. And so she was trying to share with my friend, and my friend couldn't believe that at all. She just, because she'd already been told she was terrible and she was going to burn in hell, whatever. And so she absolutely could not believe that. And so the nun said, but do you believe that I believe it? Can you believe that I believe it? And she goes, yeah, I do. I know, I can see it. I know that you believe it. And she goes, okay, but what if you believed in my believing? You don't have to believe. What if you believe in my believing? Well, she's my friend, and she's in her 70s now. So that worked for her. She's had several children since then. That is the reason why Partners in Believing is so important. Because sometimes it's something so great for you, so emotionally entangled for you, that you can't believe it. But other people can believe in your greatness. Other people can believe that you are God and that you have the power to have the life you want, So why don't we hang out with those people? Why don't we create partners in believing? It doesn't have to be more than where three or more are gathered. I'm in the midst. So what if you got two more friends and you believe for them and they believe for you? So that's part of for me, the calendaring of my life. I'm going to calendar my partners in believing to speak with them once a week, whether it's just a phone call or a text, whether I need something or I'm just seeing something for them. And I'm thinking of you, and I know that you're going out there and you're doing great things with whatever it is they're working on. What if we had that? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. The reason for calendaring again and creating for yourself partners in believing. How many people are in this room? All of us can have partners in believing because we all understand how it works. We all get that. Yes, exactly. And you are mine. Exactly. So that's what we get to do. We get to live intentionally, know the truth for one another. We know the truth already. But if we speak to each other once a week, or however you decide, I'm going to do it once a week because that's how much I want it. That's how much I want it, once a week. And we calendar what is important. And that is important, I believe, for us to have people in our lives that know the truth for us when we can't seem to know it for ourselves. And even when we can't, just to be around somebody, well, you all are believing the same thing. Do you know how powerful that is? Where three or more are gathered, you have a mastermind. That's what mastermind actually means. You have the mind of God, which you already have anyway, but even greater. And so possibilities keep coming up. Ideas run rampant because of your ability to do that. So that's what we get to do. So my point is just life moves fast. So live on purpose. Do what matters, okay? Do what matters. Yeah, I have a question here. What does it do? But I've already answered that question, so it's okay. So what are the action steps that I'd like for you to think about taking this week? Think about using your calendars and your notes. Think about what matters. Who do you want to show up for? Where do you want to be? Everybody has 24 hours in a day, some of which has to be used for sleeping. Not a lot. The older I get, the less I need that. But yeah.
We're cleaning our notes out.
That too, yeah. Get rid of the notes. Get rid of the ones you've already, I got to do that every now and again too, yeah. Get rid of the notes you've already done, clean them up, make room for more. So calendar what's important. What you control, the only thing you control, we talk about this all the time, it's not others, it's what you think. Stoics, if you look at the Stoic life, people think that's like a life where you're just really stoic and you're sucking it all up. That's not what a Stoic is. A Stoic is a person who believes in only two things. Number one, that in the nature of who we are, it's our nature to be God. It's just our nature. That's what Stoics believe. And Stoic believes the only thing that we can control, which is what we believe as well, is our thinking. That's all we have control over. But that's all you need. Because you can change your mind at any time. If you think, I don't have enough I'm losing my memory, and you just stuck that thinking down and go, no, I'm not. It's just been misplaced. It's just full. So I'm going to move some stuff out where I can just see it up on the wall, and I don't have to worry about it. Just let it go. I'm going to be Einstein. I'm going to let this stuff go that I don't need, right? Just make some room. Make some room in there. That's another thought. And then how would you live with that thought? That's what we get to do. So you get to control your thoughts, and whatever you're thinking is how you feel. So if you feel like, think about this, if you feel like you're losing your memory, how does it make you feel? Like you're getting old, and I don't have anything to offer. And that was another thing that my friend was saying. She goes, I'm getting older, and I don't have anything to offer. Are you crazy? Are you kidding? As long as you have lived as much as you know, you have so much to offer. And there's a story, it's a kind of not a really great story, but it's a true story. So I visit with some friends on Wednesdays when I'm free on Wednesday. I don't have a whole bunch of stuff to do, but I visit with them. We have lunch together over at Denny's by my house. And so one of them lived where the fires were here in Texas. One of their children lived very close to that. And there was a power line went down. Power line went down. And so people just kind of stayed in their cars. They knew when the line was down and the electricity was popping to stay in the car. Except this kid didn't know that. He didn't know that. And so he stepped out of his car. We know what happened. I don't need to be graphic. But he stepped out of his car because he didn't know. So we know things about everybody that was staying in the car was older because they already knew. So we do know things. We have a lot to give. We have a lot to speak of. My grandson calls me all the time, my 25-year-old. Calls me and said, Grandma, how do you know about this? How do you know? How do you know for sure? He asks me things. When do we just share? You have a lot to give. A lot to give. So that's just a thought in her head. That's not a true thought necessarily. Okay? We get to change our minds. So calendar what you want to do. Have your think the thoughts that work for you. Let go of those that don't. Because whatever you're thinking leads to how you're feeling. If you find yourself not feeling well, change your thoughts. Just think about what you just were thinking and change that. You can just change it just like that. And then ask this, so that you can step into the field of possibilities. If I believed or thought that whatever I wanted to do was possible, what would be my next step? What would be my next step? I'm running over, but I don't care. No, I just want to share this one story because that it makes sense in terms of what you believe is possible. So there's a woman who, and she reminded me, I remember this story so well because she reminded me of my mother-in-law who had this very same life. This woman, she had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy was the oldest. Her husband had left her and wasn't taking care of her or the children, hadn't left her with anything. She had a minimum education, so minimal work. And so she lived in a 1-bedroom place. Her and her daughter shared their bedroom. The son stayed on the couch. And she wanted more. She wanted at least to get a 2-bedroom house. She wanted a place where there was a garden out in the back, or a yard for her kids to play in, for a dog, and all this sort of thing. She wanted all of that, but she just didn't see how that was going to happen. And she had partners in believing, just friends of hers. And so she talked about that. She talked about, I really would like a bigger place, but I can't afford it. I can't do it. I'm barely surviving. And her friend asked her, if you thought it was possible for you to get a bigger house, what would the first thing you would do? And she, I can't. I can't do it. It's not possible. I don't make enough money. I can't get another house. And I said, okay, all right, I understand that. We understand the conditions. That's because she was looking at her condition. We understand the condition. We understand where you are. But I'm asking you, what we're asking you is, if it was possible, what would be the first thing you would do? And she goes, what? Go look for a house. They said, go do that. Just go look for one. So she did. She went, she looked for a house for rent, not to buy, just for rent. So she went, she found a beautiful house. It was well out of her range. And so she came back to the meeting the next time and she told her friends, yeah, I found a beautiful house. It's got 3 bedrooms. It's got a beautiful yard. It's got a window that I could, where the kitchen is, so I can look out. And there's no way that the guy's going to rent it to me because I don't have the money he's asking for. And they said, okay, that's fine. If you thought it was possible, what would you do? And so she said, well, I'd write him a letter and I'd tell him, what I was going to do. I could fix up the place for you because I'm good at that. And my mother-in-law was really great at that. Every place they ever lived, she fixed it up. Every place. That's why Jason was good at it. He fixed everything up. So I would just fix it up. I would fix the yard. I'd paint. I'd do all that kind of stuff. If he would give me the tools, I would do all that. He said, okay, well, so write him a letter. And so she wrote him and said, hey, I really want to rent it, yada, yada. This is what I'll do. And she sent it off to him, and he didn't respond. He didn't respond. So she said, oh, okay. So she went to the meeting. She said, well, he hasn't responded. I said, that's okay. That's okay. Just wait. That's all right. And so next three meetings, 3 weeks later, she came back just beaming. I heard from him. And he agreed to let me rent that place for $500, the same amount of money that she was renting the other place for. Even though there was somebody who was going to rent it, that he could rent it to, not only for the price he asked for, they was going to leave a big deposit. But he did it. He said, I have no idea why I'm giving you this place. I don't understand it. Because I already have somebody that would do it, but there's something about you, and there's something about the way you wrote the letter, I'm just going to let you have the place. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to let you have it for a year, and every quarter, I want you to update what have you done to the place. And I will give you all the tools and all of that. So she was in that place. She fixed it up. She loved it. Do you understand the point of my story? It's a true story. I'm not making it up. It's a true story. So if you just get into the field of possibilities and stop looking at the conditions. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I'm too old. Whatever you're thinking, let that go. And think this one question, if I believed it was possible, what's the first thing I would do? And just do that. Let Spirit lead you the rest of the way. I'm living my life like that right now. I'm looking at things and thinking, how? Nope. How's not my issue. How is not for me to do. Just move forward in any way you know how. And let the Spirit open it up for you, and that's what happens. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. Calendars and clocks, they exist to measure time, to track time, but that is not anything that you want, because we all know that an hour can seem like an eternity or pass in a flash, according to how we spend it, So I just want to tell you this. Calendar your life. Do what's important. Step into the field of possibilities and ask What would I do if I believed it was possible? And so it is.